Using charts in corporate presentations is a must. It's the easiest way of visualizing what's going on in the business. Now, there are different ways you can present this information. Let's say you're up next and you need to go in front of management to present them the impact of two separate budget scenarios. Scenario 1 is conservative and scenario 2 is more aggressive. You want to bring attention to scenario 2, which is your preferred scenario. So one way is just to present the slides like this. Another way is to combine the scenarios together and present it like this. We can immediately compare the two scenarios with one another. We can compare each change, see the total impact, and add a nice descriptive header. So if you really wanted to make an impression, you'd go with the second one. But the second one comes with problems like how? How do you even create such a slide? When do you even have the time to do this? Well, what if I told you that creating the second chart can take you 5 minutes max? And it's going to be a very enjoyable 5 minutes. Let me explain. Full disclosure, I'm going to be upfront here. So you've probably guessed it, this is using an add-in. But it's not just any add-in. This is the add-in that's trusted by 80 of the Fortune 100 companies and more than 22,000 companies around the world. It's called ThinkCell. I actually got to know them years ago when I was working in a corporate job. The companies that I consulted later on were also using this. It just made creating impressive charts so much easier. Now, when they sent me their latest version a few weeks ago, I was really impressed with the new features that they added in the meantime. ThinkCell was kind enough to sponsor today's video so that I can show you the benefits of this productivity tool in action. Now, if you want to check them out, I added a link to the description of this video. Great news is that you get to try it for free and you get a full featured version and enough time to surprise your boss with amazing charts. So they've been kind enough to give us a special extended trial period for you to try out. Not only will you save time creating these charts, but you get your presentations to stand out a lot more. Let me give you an idea of what it can do and if it's worth trying out. First thing is to download and install the ThinkCell add-in. Once you do that and you open up PowerPoint, you go to the Insert tab and you're going to see a ThinkCell group here. When you click on the elements, you are going to see some amazing charts here. Now, some of these might look familiar to you, but they actually have more features than the ones you're used to. So we are going to do an example in a second with this stacked column, and you're going to see that. Notice that you get the ability to insert these in different ways. You can insert it as a bar chart, the other way around, and even upside down if you choose to. You have the ability to add a waterfall chart, a Mekko chart, Gantt chart, a table, and other graphical elements like a Harvey ball, checkbox, chapters, table of contents, and so on. Now, under this other menu here, you get additional productivity features for linking, for collaboration, or different features to finalize your presentation. Now, if you get stuck, there are really great tutorials here that you can watch. Now, let's do an example. So let's say that you need to present the sales development for your products during your next meeting. Now, you've summarized the data, but you don't want to present it like this. Instead, you want to visualize it with a professional chart so that you can showcase the great work that your team has been doing. You want your boss to take a look at that and be like, wow, that was a great presentation. Okay, so let's get to work. First thing I'm going to do is to remove this. Now let's go to Elements and insert a stacked column chart. So we're just going to click on this, and then we're going to get this box. We can drop it anywhere on our slide, and you can resize it anytime as well. The moment you drop it, a data sheet opens up. So ThinkCell uses a customized Microsoft Excel sheet for your data input. You can use this in the same way as regular Excel, although there is no ribbon, and it has some limitations on columns and rows, but it's going to be sufficient for most purposes. So you can use the same shortcut keys. You can also use formulas if you want. Now, if you're used to using your own Excel files, don't worry. You can also work the other way around. So your starting point can be Excel, and then you create your charts in PowerPoint. And we're going to do an example right after this one. So we get the sample data. If I close this, this is currently how our chart looks. Notice we automatically get totals for these stacks, and we get the series labels properly positioned beside the series. This is so much easier to read than having a legend up here or down here where we have to spend time trying to match the color with the right stack. Now, obviously, we want to have our own data in here. So let me go and grab the data from Excel. I'm just going to copy it. Let's open up the data sheet again. We just have to double click and then let's go and paste this in. That's it. When I close the data sheet, I already see my chart has been updated. So you can adjust this as you need. I'm going to expand this and let's make some changes. So the first thing I want to do is add a visual break between 2019 to 2022. So I'm going to click on the gap between these two and I'm going to first extend that gap. Now, when I right mouse click here, I get different properties that are available for this object. So notice some of these are grayed out. I can't use these, but some are options that I have. So for example, one is to add tick marks or remove tick marks. One option that I actually want to use here is to add a baseline break. This is going to visually show that there is a gap between the years. Next thing I want to do is update the color of these stacks. To select the stacks in one go, I'm going to select the first one, hold down Shift and select the last one. Now I get this menu pop up here and I get to pick the color that I want. Now the color comes from the theme color of PowerPoint. Currently I'm just using the standard theme, so I'm going to go with that. Now I'm going to follow a similar approach to the next one. So hold down Shift, select the last stack, update the color. I'll go with 60%. For this one, I want this one to stand out more, so I'm going to go with accent 4. And for that top one, let's go with smoke 40%. Okay, so far so good. Next thing we're going to do is add an axis for this. Let's right click on the chart. I get this really cool pop-up with the different options that I have. For the chart, I get a lot more and different options than I had before. I want to add an axis. So when I hover over this, I can see it says add y-axis. That's the one I want. Let's select that. That puts the axis here and it automatically moves the labels to the side. Now let's just make this a bit thinner. Next, let's add a label to our y-axis. I'm going to select the axis. And here again, I get different options. I want to add a label. So that's this one right here, add title. I'm just going to click and type in my title. Now we also want to show a growth rate with a CAGR line. Let's right click on the chart and I have the option to add a CAGR line right here. So add compound growth rate. But notice I have these different options too. I can add the level difference arrow or add a total difference arrow. So for example, this one is something that a lot of people use. This shows the difference from these 2 years, but let's say I want to show it for the entire period. I can just click on that last data point and drag it and drop it where I want, and everything automatically updates. In this case, I don't want that, so you can just remove it by pressing delete or going with Control Z. You can also right mouse click and use the delete option from here. So I wanted a CAGR line. I'm going to right mouse click and go with this option, and that adds one for the entire time period. Now let's say I only want it until 2019 because I want to bring attention to that change. So I'm going to drag this data point and drop it here, and my values automatically adjust. It gave me 1 decimal place, but you can change that if you want. You could add 2 decimal points or no decimal points. You can also adjust the font and go according to the font that you use at the company. I also want to add a better title for this. I'm going to add CAGR presenter 2014 till 2019, just to make it clear what this plus 5% is for. Okay, so far so good. Now let's also adjust these labels and add the growth rate for each series, because that gives us a quick insight into how these products have developed. So to select all of these labels, you can use the shortcut key Control A. This selects similar objects. Then from this floating dialog box, we can adjust the labels. Currently it's on series, but I'm going to update it to series CAGR. We can also add some absolute and relative labels to the budget column. This time I can't use my shortcut key Control A because if I do that, it's going to select all of these labels. I want it to select all of these labels. The way you can do that is select the first label, hold down Shift, select the last one, and it automatically selects the ones in between as well. Now we're going to get the floating menu bar. If you don't see it, you can just left mouse click and you're going to see it. Currently it's on absolute, and I'm going to go with absolute percentage. Okay, so this looks great. The final step is to add some connectors so we can see the development between the stacks better. We just have to right mouse click on the chart, and one of these should be our connectors. It's this one right here, add connector. We automatically get them added. I don't want it for these, so I'm going to select the first one, hold down Shift, select that last one, and press delete, and remove the ones between 2019 and 2022. Okay, so that's it. All we have to do is add a nice slide title, and we have converted our plain Excel data and turned it into a very nice and visually effective chart with just a few clicks. Now we can be confident to go into that presentation. Now that's just an example for a stacked column chart. You have lots of options here. You can, for example, easily do Gantt charts with a built-in calendar and self-adjusting labels. Another great feature in ThinkCell is the possibility to link these charts to existing Excel files. So remember, I told you can work the other way around as well. Maybe you already have an Excel file with data in it, and you want to create a chart in PowerPoint. Well, this is how it works. First thing I'm going to do is just add a new slide so we have a place to put our chart in. Now I'm going to open up my Excel. Here I have some revenue information for different startups, different years, and my file is called Startup. All I'm going to do is select my range, go to Insert, and check this out. We have a ThinkCell group that was automatically added here when we installed the add-in. I'll go to Elements, and I'm going to select a line chart. The moment I do that, it's going to take me over to PowerPoint and ask me where I want to place it. I'm just going to click to place it right here. Now I can see the link to that file here, and I'm going to adjust this to have it in the size that I want. Notice a great addition is that I get the labels automatically added to the chart. Now, I want this chart to update automatically once new data is added to the Excel file. So from ThinkCell here, I'm going to click on this More Options and go to Data Links. This is going to show me all the data links that I have in place. In this case, I just have one. Now, when I select that, notice it says No Automatic Update. I'm going to go and change this so that it updates automatically. Now, that icon changes here as well. Now let's go back to our Excel file. This is the current table that we have in place. It already added this type of formatting to show that it's being used by ThinkCell. I'm going to add in more data to this. So let's say I got information about 2 other startups and I want them included. Notice they are below that green box here. I want to extend that green box to include this data. So I'm just going to go carefully to the side here, click and drag, and include these data as well. Now, when we go back to PowerPoint, notice the other ones were automatically added. What if we get information about the next years? Let's quickly go and add that in as well. I'll go to the side here and paste it in. And again, we are going to expand this so that this whole range is included. Now, when we switch to PowerPoint, we see the range was updated automatically. And of course, you can improve the chart and give the slide a proper title, something like this. As you can see, it's super easy to link charts to data in Excel. ThinkCell also features a connector to Tableau. This allows you to turn your Tableau data into convincing presentations using the charts that you know. ThinkCell runs on both Microsoft and Mac. The minimum requirement is Office 2010 for Windows or Office 2016 for Mac. So unlike some other add-ins, ThinkCell creates pure PowerPoint objects. So the elements that you create with it can also be used and edited by other people who don't have ThinkCell installed. Okay, so I hope this gave you a good overview of what this tool is all about. Now, honestly, it's a bit on the expensive side compared to the other add-ins. But if you think about the time and effort that we put into creating slides, it's going to pay off. And it's not just the time saving, but also the range of charts that become available to you that are either not possible in PowerPoint at all, and if you were going to create these in Excel, they're going to take a ton of time and a lot of nerves. So for example, the Mekko chart. This is a 2-dimensional stack chart. One dimension is the standard vertical axis, which we know from the normal column charts, but another dimension is the width of the bars. We don't have such a chart in Excel, but this is super easy to create with ThinkCell. I can recommend it to anyone working in a corporate environment who needs to create slides to visualize their data. Remember, if you want to try them out, I have a special extended free trial for you, so click on the link in the description, try them out, let me know what you think. That's it for today. Please give this video a like if you found it useful, subscribe if you aren't subscribed yet, and I'm going to see you in the next video.